Everybody, welcome back. I've been going through the major arcana and applying them to the archetypal characters and situations that we see on Degrassi, the Next Generation, which it was still called for the first 7 seasons. And just to kind of catch you up, here's Terry reading her tarot cards. And we had left off at the Wheel of Fortune, which represented Rick's descent after a brief sense of security. And again, the idea that what goes up must come down, and everything came crashing down in that instant, which would lead to absolutely dire consequences. So, the next card in the deck is Justice. Now, justice is about treating everyone fairly, and the lesson that actions have consequences. Now, I had initially chosen the situation of Sean stealing Archie's laptop, then coming clean and trying to make up for it, which does fit the card well, especially given Sean's later arc and legal troubles. But my friend ChatGPT, and yes, I didn't generate anything with ChatGPT, but I used it to sort of bat some ideas around. ChatGPT suggested Hazel, and so I rewatched the episode that featured Hazel, Don't Believe the Hype, in the second season, and I thought it was a really perfect encapsulation in one episode of what the Justice card is all about. Now, Hazel's character, unfortunately, was shoved to the sidelines. She was always kind of a side character. She didn't get a whole lot of focus. And that's one of the reasons I think that the episode Don't Believe the Hype was really important. It mirrored the anti-Muslim sentiment that was going on in the early 2000s, and it really did embody this idea of justice. So the Justice card, again, is about treating people fairly and that actions have consequences. In the episode, Hazel lies about her heritage and bullies a Muslim student. And then when the student's display is vandalized with anti-Muslim slogans, Hazel gets accused. And even though she's exonerated when they find out who actually did it, Radich lectures her on how hurtful microaggressions, such as giving Farisa a fashion police card, how that can grow into a much bigger act. So that causes Hazel to go to do some introspection and to reevaluate what she's been lying about, tell the class about her Muslim heritage, and clear up any misconceptions. So, in a nutshell, that really does embody the spirit of the Justice card. This idea that there's karma, there's balance, and if you are hurtful to others, there will be consequences, and you need to make up for it. And Hazel's arc was really well done in that particular episode. All right, now the next card is the Hanged Man, and that's the card about sacrifices and suspension, sacrifice, and seeing things from a new perspective. So Jimmy Brooks is the perfect embodiment of the Hanged Man. In the early seasons, he's a popular athlete, he's got a great future, and then he gets shot. And everything that he thought he was, his entire plan for the future, has to change. He's the sacrifice. And normally, the Hanged Man is given willingly and has chosen his path, but in this case, it's only when Jimmy lets go of his anger and the unfairness of what happened to him that he can adapt to his circumstances and peacefully accept what's coming for the future. And he does have, he's a very talented young man. He figures out that he's artistic and he's getting great grades. Being in a wheelchair in this case is not the end of the world for him. And let's here. Okay, so the next card is the Death card. Now, death never means a literal death, which is why I didn't go with the deaths of various important characters. Death is a natural ending, which is a progression from one phase of life to the next. So my choice was Alex and Paige's relationship when they get together, because it's a big step for both of them, and they have to put aside their preconceptions about their identities to take a step towards love, toward their feelings toward each other, and what they have to learn about themselves. And it's a pivotal moment because Paige is on the verge of graduating. Alex is trying to decide what she's going to do with her life, and then all of a sudden this new relationship comes along, and both the characters start out on a new path. And it may not be something that's forever, but it does change both of them. And yeah, so it's transformation. Okay. Now, ChatGPT also suggested Snake's cancer diagnosis and treatment in season 3, which forces him and his family to reevaluate his life. But yeah, ChatGPT liked my pick better. Now the next card is the Devil. Oh, the Devil. The Devil represents temptation, adultery, addiction, impulsiveness, and sometimes mental illness. And who better to personify this than Craig Manning? He's a very talented, very charismatic young man. He's got a troubled home life, and he just makes bad choices again and again. And when he doesn't treat his actual illness, which is bipolar disorder, he spirals out of control. He's not the devil himself, but his temptation and his poor choices are his personal hell. ChatGPT also suggested that Jay might be another contender as the devil. He tempts others into making bad choices, so that's kind of a backup there. But I think Craig is a better embodiment to the devil because he just keeps falling again and again and again. The next card is Temperance, and I picked Ellie for this one. I struggled with this card, but Temperance is about sort of calming waters, taking a step back and finding balance. Ellie always has to juggle her father's PTSD, her mother's alcoholism, her crush on Craig, and the temptation of wanting to be with him, but he's interested in somebody else. She can only remain true to herself when she stays out of all the drama and remains focused on her own work, especially writing, journalism, her role as an observer. And she's always got to kind of stay in the middle of things, and remain centered and balanced. And I picked that one for Temperance. She knows that if she gets involved with drugs and alcohol, it's bad news for her. So she has to kind of, the few times we see Ellie partake, it's always a disaster. So she learns not to indulge in her substances too much. All right, now the next one, the Tower. The Tower represents sudden, unexpected, absolute devastating chaos. And in this particular case for Degrassi, the school shooting was a pivotal point in the series. Everything the characters had built up to this point just came crashing down, and the main character spent the rest of the season and most of the next couple of years dealing with the fallout from the events of just one single day. And the school shooting is the representation of the tower's destructive, horrible energy. So I went with that one. And I'm going to take a break, and I will be back with the next segment.